Brain-based learning. Brain-based learning refers to teaching methods, lessons, and school programs that are based on scientific research about how the brain learns, especially referring to factors like cognitive development, how students learn differently, and neuroplasticity, how the brain's ability to change is a result of experience. Brain-based learning is based on the science of learning, not the concept of teaching. It was commonly believed that intelligence is a fixed characteristic that remains largely unchanged throughout a person's life. However, recent discoveries in cognitive science have revealed that the human brain physically changes when it learns. The concept that learning effectively improves brain functioning, resiliency, and working intelligence has affected how schools design their academic programs and consider ways to change their approaches to learning to efficiently adopt brain-based learning strategies. This concept that intelligence can grow and is not fixed has been the focal point of Professor Carol Dweck's studies at Stanford on the concept of fixed versus growth mindset. As teachers, it is imperative that we understand that a growth mindset is an incredibly important concept for our students to consider, and that no one's brain is fixed in its intelligence. Implementing brain-based learning strategies will help us facilitate this growth of intelligence in our students. The learner-centered principle. Jeffrey Freud from Texas A&M University describes a learner-centered instruction as an instructional approach in which students influence the content, activities, materials, and pace of the learning. Learning is much more meaningful when we make a connection with the topic we are learning about. Think about times in your life that you've enjoyed a learning experience. Most of those events in your learning journey were connected to personal interests, beliefs, or experiences. This principle capitalizes on learning by connecting the child with the learning experience based on their interest. Students often infuse technology with this principle, especially when it comes to sharing data and finding and explaining their interests or connection with a particular topic or area. I've used the learner-centered principle in many situations in my classroom. I use it most commonly with exploratory lessons which allow students to cater their learning and knowledge to their interests, as well as when I have used activities like problem-based learning that put students in real-life situations and scenarios. To me, it is all about giving students the choice. Build your investigation on.
My mom worked on this, so I know what to write.
Hey, we learned about something like this last year.
Let's use that to solve the problem.
Do you want to use technology to figure this out?
Sure, good idea.
It's nothing like that traditional classroom. Children sat in rows, taking notes, listening to the teacher, and of course, old Johnny falling asleep. That moment of realization when you were busted by the teacher. Gone are the days of sit and get. Well, at least we hope. The traditional role of the teacher as the purveyor of knowledge standing at the front of the classroom, imparting everything they know on, say, differential equations, is long gone. It is important that we capitalize on learning by ensuring we don't slip back into old strategies that were ineffective and restrictive on learning. We must use technology as a hook to excite and interest our students and make sure they are fully engaged, unlike Johnny. I consider these historical perspectives whenever I try something new in the classroom to try and approach the activity with foresight and prior experience. Brain-based learning approaches. Audrey Prince tells us the brain performs better in a positive emotional state, that students must feel physically and emotionally safe before their brains are ready to learn. Teachers can encourage this safe, positive environment by encouraging students to use strategies that best help them learn. Go!
I'm going to use my vocab words as a story.
I'm going to group my vocab words together.
I need to get up and move around to learn my vocab words.
I'm going to use my vocab words from past experiences to understand their meaning.
That's a great idea. I'm going to use that too.
Back in the day, we used to use acronyms to help us remember things like King Philip came over for grape soda, to remember the levels of classification. We were told little acronyms to help us remember key concepts and facts. Brain-based approaches capitalize on learning by teaching educators to consider how the brain functions and can be molded to help students understand key concepts. Using bunching patterns, accessing skills from prior memories through smart brain function, and promoting knowledge of learning styles helps students get more out of the educational process than sit and get. Technology can be very useful with brain-based approaches, but it's all down to the individual and their learning style as to whether the technology would work for them. I use brain-based approaches all the time in my classroom to meet the needs of my visual, kinesthetic, and auditory learners. We take learner profile tests at the beginning of the year to learn about learning styles and identify what works best for us, and we build upon that with our brain-based learning activities. I have found this approach develops a level of comfort and appeasement across my students. Individual and societal factors related to learning. Sociocultural approaches to the process of learning are increasingly being applied by educationalists. Sociocultural theorists argue that individuals cannot be considered in isolation from their social and historical context. Families and schools play huge roles in shaping children's learning experiences.
Bullying is not good for the school.
Yeah, well, my parents said that I should fight back.
These factors are connected to our social and economic status, as well as the way we were raised. These factors help me capitalize on learning by reminding me to consider the social and economic factors that affect the school district I teach in. As a health teacher, I use these factors in my classroom to build knowledge and appreciation of diversity within our classroom, as well as helping develop students' social skills. Technology in the learning process. We are always connected to our technology in this day and age. It's very hard to separate ourselves from the technology that we love to learn for all sorts of different reasons, from trivial reasons up to educational reasons. It's my thought that you shouldn't fight this, but more embrace this technology and use it in the learning process. When considering ways technology helps us capitalize on learning, we must consider access to the internet, Web 2.0 tools that help us interact with others on a higher level, as well as demonstrate a whole array of skills. Adaptive technology that helps students with disabilities, as well as technology that allows us to document and archive student work and achievement. Obviously, technology is used when we consider technology, but when it comes to ways I've used technology in my classroom, it's hard to find a place to start. I use technology every day to help me facilitate the learning process. This can include demonstrations, whole class instruction, small group instruction, individual work, archiving work, creating learning resources, creating online classrooms, or notifying students of homework. Either way, I utilize technology use to help me bring a higher level of teaching to all of my classes.